because 90% of the heroin coming to Britain comes from Afghanistan. And the fact that it's destabilised in this so-called war on terror is impacting directly with that influx. So we could try and fight up to a point here, but it becomes a losing battle when you have the international situation as it is. And I think Britain has a role actually in stemming that as well, and its role in actually destabilising Afghanistan.
Do you think now that we're creating this dialogue on programs such as this, that it's going to help the younger people that are watching it and realize, okay, you know what, I'm not by myself, I'm not alone in this, and actually there is a community out there that's willing to help?
I think that's really, really important, as with any situation, to know you're not alone, that there are people who want to listen to you, who will understand. People, when you're going through something, you think nobody else has been through it. Whether you're a parent who's worried or a young person who's going through this, to know there are people who are there to help you, I think is really important. And I think I think it's good that you're having this program. It's called Broken Silence. It's important we break some of these taboos, because keeping that silence is not helping anybody. It's not helping the victims of crime who are subject to the violence because of drug addicts desperate for their next fix. It's not fair on those people. It's not fair on the families who are going through this difficulty, and it's certainly not helpful to the addicts themselves. So I think it's great that we're talking about it in an open way and an honest way.
Sanyya, thank you so much for joining us. You've been really insightful, and I hope that people that are watching it have taken some of what you've said on board. Joining me also on the panel is Cameron. He's chose to remain anonymous for this program, and that's fine. Cameron, you said that you have first-hand experience with drugs and gang violence. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I had someone quite close to me who actually died recently. What actually happened was he was using from when he was small, and he's going to a man who's married, had kids, and what actually happened was he was only working to fund his habit. He couldn't really do much for his family, but in the end...
What kind of drugs was he taking?
He was using weed.
See, now I just got to stop you real quick, because a lot of people don't really think that weed is even a drug. And they think that, oh, you know, it's just a little something that I do in the evenings to help me relax. It's not really addictive. It's my choice. I can stop when I want to. Do you not agree with that?
No, I don't, because it started as like a little bit of fun. I'm just guessing really, because I didn't really know him from when he was small. He was quite older than me. But it started as a little bit of fun, I guess. Just like you said, just using it to relax. Built up a few times a day, was taking it. It was just working to fund his habit, really. And in the end, it finished him off from inside, and he didn't really have anything left. From inside, his body was just totally empty, and he just died.
Was it from, I mean...
Well, kidney failure.
Right. And so do you think that in your age group, you're 16 years old, 16?
Yeah.
That in your age group, there's a lot of peer pressure?
Yes, there is, but it depends where you are, really. When you're out in the park and stuff, there's a lot of people selling, using, and then you're like, people are like, just try it once here, and like, they'll give it you for free. Basically, it's people just trying, it's like sort of business, trying to get you hooked on it, because once they know that once they give you, you'll come back to them.
Cameron, you know what, we're going to speak to you a little bit more, but we'll be back after this short break. Hi, welcome back to Broken Silence. I'm Sanyya Gardez. Today we're talking about drug abuse and gang violence and the prevalence of both within our Asian community. Joining me on the panel is Altaf Ghazi from Birmingham University and a member of the Islamic Society, and Cameron, a 16-year-old who's chosen to remain anonymous for this program. Cameron, let's just pick up where we left off. You were saying that the people that push these drugs and sell these drugs, that they make it very easy for somebody to get addictive by offering it to people like yourself, young people, offering it for free.
Yeah, it's mostly at parties or places like the barbers, at the park, places like that you go to play football. It's just kids go from home just to take a bit of time out, spend with their friends. But there's a lot of people around like using, so it's like it's become the norm, really. It's like a normal thing to do.
So if you're not using it, are you considered the odd one out then?
Yeah, and yeah, you're isolated sometimes.
Is it not just easy to say no and walk away, or is the pressure to join in quite strong?
Yeah, it is quite strong, because people like don't talk to you. If you're not using, they'll say that you're not my friend. I don't want to know you. You're not allowed to chill with us. You're like, people don't want to know you. Sometimes you feel quite isolated.
What about gangs and gang violence? Have you been affected by that, or do you know people that have been part of gangs?
Yeah, there's a lot of postcode rivalry around where I live. There's like places like the high street where postcodes end and start again. So like when they meet, there's clashes.
Okay.
And like there's always like, why are you here? Why are you there? Don't come here. Don't go there. Places like there's
Is
certain
it
places
gangs
you
that are
can't go.
formed like different religious backgrounds? Is it different nationalities?
It's just different postcodes.
That's it?
That's it.
So are we just picking anything to hate each other
Yeah.
with? That's it?
Basically, yeah.
Do you think that there's a way that we can, really get to the root of the problem and fix it? Because, you are 16, you're at the heart of it. Is there anything we can do to kind of get a handle on this?
Well, people should like socialize more. They're mostly kept apart. They're always in their own area, always in their own postcode. Don't go to each other's parks. If they could have activities in the park, such as football tournaments, things like that, where they could actually like meet each other and notice each other and like find out what people are like, there wouldn't be so much hate.
It just sounds really ridiculous that people would hate on each other for being in the wrong postcode.
Yeah, it does happen. Postcodes, schools, places like that. There's certain hats you can't buy because they belong to a postcode. There's clothes you can't buy because they belong to a postcode. It's quite ridiculous, really.
Dav, you're from the University of Birmingham?
Yeah.
Now, at university level, is that still happening?
I think what we're starting to get now is a bit more. Some of the gang members are starting to actually get educated as well.
Oh, right. Okay.
So you do.
So they're smarter at what they're doing, eh?
Yeah, you're seeing a small influx of it, but you're seeing a more creative element to it. There's always one member of the gang who ends up in university. There's always two members of the gang. Now it's increasing slowly and slowly.
What's the purpose of the gang members? I mean, if they're getting an education, then does that mean that they will then leave their gang and
No,
go?
I don't think that's what a gang is. I think a gang is just a group of people who hang around together. So whether you're from a postcode or not, like
Yeah, but we're a group of people sitting here. We're not a gang. I mean,
No,
do you know what kind?
It's a sense of affinity to a certain group of individuals. No, I can understand that. So like I come from Aston as well, which is like notoriously known for its gangs and stuff like that. But when you look at the gangs in Aston and you look at how they're made up, like you got B6, B21, B19 and all of those postcodes that have their own gangs to them, they actually have whoever lives there. So if you happen to go to university and you live in that area,
you're part of that gang.
You're part of the gang.
So there's no escaping it.
There is no escaping it. I think what we have to do is we have to embrace the gangs to some extent, because it's just a negative stereotype word. You can't just stereotype a word negatively simply because it's called gang.
I understand what you're saying, but then are the gangs that we're in this terminology, the way we're using it today, are these gangs, maybe in your experience or your experience, are they doing anything positive for the community?
I think if you look at there was a gang called used to be called. I'm not going to actually name it because I don't know.
Let's not name names, right?
There were a couple of gangs who were out there, and as they grew older, they started to get more involved in community ventures. They actually opened up a community venture on Lozells Road.
Okay.
So you can see that there are being slight improvements, and that's because they've had the right role models and the right form of mediation.
So there is that positive aspect of, I guess, gang culture where they can help better the community.
Yeah.
Salma was mentioning earlier that a lot of this drug abuse, heroin abuse, heroin is coming from Afghanistan. It's funding terrorism. Do you then think that we as a community, as a Muslim community, should then take some responsibility for making sure that it doesn't get bigger than it is?
Sorry, I didn't understand the question.
Well, Salma mentioned that heroin was coming in from Afghanistan.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Obviously, it's funding terrorism.
Yeah.
Right? And so, as Muslim religious leaders,
yeah,
people that are practicing the faith,
yeah,
and to a certain extent preaching the faith,
yeah,
should we then not take more of an active role in making sure that it doesn't become a bigger problem?
I don't think. I think we should all take an active role in trying to make sure it's not a bigger issue. But I don't think you can really call upon the Muslim leaders and the Muslim faith as an organisation, because of a destabilization of Afghanistan, which can't be blamed on the Muslim community.
Well, no, I mean, I'm not saying that, the root of this problem is Muslims and we should just go after them. I'm just saying that because a lot of the users and a lot of the abusers, a lot of the people that are dealing are Muslim.
Yeah.
And when we were researching, we do know that the people who are using and are dealing will deal 5 days a week and then on a Friday take time out to go pray. And kind of using their faith as this way of absolving their sins.